chocolate chip cookies today. We make chocolate chip cookies quite a bit, and we always keep some in the freezer, which is a little top tip to make sure that you don't eat too many chocolate chip cookies at the same time. So we're going to keep it pretty simple today. We are going to use our bigger stand mixer, because if I'm going to go through the trouble of making cookies, I'm going to make a big batch. The only downside is there's a tremendous number of cookies to scoop at the end.
A lot of cookies.
But we scoop them all now, keep them in the freezer, so we really only have to do this every few months. It's not that bad. So we have a bag of Ghirardelli 60% cocoa chocolate chips, and we are basically just going to use the recipe on the back of that bag with a couple of modifications that we've picked up over time. We've never made this recipe before, but chocolate chip cookie recipes are all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So we make a couple little tweaks to make cookies that are a little bit more like we like. So, pretty simple. First instruction is to preheat your oven. Totally skip that. We're going to cook all of these cookies in our toaster oven sort of on demand, so we don't cook them all in a big batch. So you can ignore that step for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to get all the flour together and the dry ingredients, so the salt and the baking soda. So what we've done here, I'm not sure if you can tell, is we have about half all-purpose flour and half white whole wheat flour. I try to work white whole wheat flour into everything. Some of it comes out really well, some of it doesn't come out that great. In cookies, you can't taste it. There's no whole wheatiness to it. So to this white whole wheat flour, which we've already measured out, we're going to add the baking soda and the salt. So we need a half a teaspoon of salt, which for us is going to be a full teaspoon because we're doubling. Ooh, nice technique. Mm-hmm. Very nice. 1 teaspoon of baking soda is what it calls for, so we're going to do 2 teaspoons of baking soda. It's quite a lovely technique she has there. All right, so that's the dry ingredients. We just put those to one side. And from here, we're going to put the butter and the sugar into the mixing bowl. So you've seen us use one of our other Bosch mixers. This is our big Bosch Universal. I'm not even sure what year this is from. This is an heirloom from Allie's paternal grandmother.
Her thing was to always give one away as a wedding present to the different grandkids. Unfortunately, she passed away before we got married, but I was able to get her machine that she used for years and years. It's such a great machine, and I love that I got hers because it was always something she gave to people.
Yeah.
And, it's just great to continue to use it. That's why we bought a baby Bosch.
Because we like the Big Bosch so much, yeah. The Big Bosch is a great machine, and aside from the fact that they've updated some of the labeling over the years, this machine works just the same as the new ones do today. You can put a blender attachment here and all sorts of things, and her grandmother had
all the attachments, the ones for making sausages, pasta making,
wheat grinding, everything you can imagine. Yeah. These machines have existed for a long time, so there's all kinds of attachments. So it comes with whisks, and it comes with some heavier duty beaters. We also found online these, they're sort of a more sturdy paddle, which we like a lot. I broke a set of the other whisks because when we make cookies, I don't normally remember to take the butter out ahead of time. So these stronger paddles are great. So I attach them to this little head, and then that sits onto here. And then we're going to start putting the butter in. You lend a hand with this. We've got quite a bit to unwrap.
It usually calls for 2 sticks, but because we're doubling it, it's a whole pound of butter. Which is fun.
So these are right out of the fridge. I took them out maybe 10 minutes ago. This Bosch mixer won't have a problem doing this kind of batch. I'm going to start beating the butter just all alone, but I'm going to put this lid back on first just in case it flies around.
It's just such a great machine. It just is able to do anything you want it to do. It's really cool.
So already that butter's already chopped up, so that's great. We're going to move on, I believe, to the sugar. The recipe calls for 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 3/4 cup of white sugar. We're going to double this recipe, which means we need 3 cups of sugar in total. One of the changes that we're going to make is that we're not going to do half and half white sugar to brown sugar. We like our cookies to be a little bit chewier, so we're going to do 2 cups of the brown sugar, and we're going to do 1 cup of the white sugar. So you don't want to stuff it in there so it's like a, completely solid mass, but you want to make sure you get the air pockets out so it's a good solid cup of sugar. We're going to pop that in. Shove them right on top. Doesn't matter. The machine will be fine. Might be able to pour this one. close enough. All right, great. I'm gonna put this little lid back on. We're gonna let it beat for a bit until it gets lighter. So that just took a minute. It's all set now. And now we're gonna start continuing to add the wet works in. So we're gonna add the vanilla and the eggs. We're a little low on vanilla. So we're just gonna take
What's left?
what's left in our little bottle. You know, hashtag coronavirus. It's about half of the vanilla, maybe a little less than what we need. We're gonna try to slip one egg at a time into the mix.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be too big a deal. It's not the end of the world if you don't. One of the really, really nice things about these Bosch mixers is you don't have to keep stopping to scrape the bowl down like I used to have to do in my KitchenAids, or like a more traditional stand mixer. So that's a really nice feature of this. It's the same way with our smaller Bosch too, but you'll see that pretty quickly here as it spins around. So now we're going to work in the flour, baking soda, and salt, which we've got measured out in this container. So it works out to be about 4.5 cups of flour. We'll try to keep the dust down a bit. We'll put the small lid back on. Just like that, looks like cookie dough. So we're gonna cheat a little bit on our recipe as well. We're a little bit short on chocolate chips. The Ghirardelli bag has 20 ounces, we need about 24 ounces. So we thought we'd cheat a little bit and sneak in a couple of tablespoons of just some regular Hershey's cocoa powder. I don't know, that's probably about 6 tablespoons in total. This will add a little bit of chocolatey flavor, but I also find when you use cocoa powder in your cookies, you tend to get a real, like a fudgy chewiness out of the cookie, which is nice. So we can give that a little mix. Crank it up. Excellent. So the next step is to put the chocolate in. And these Ghirardelli chips are a little bit bigger than a normal chocolate chip. Chocolate.
Very chocolate.
So I'm going to dump all this in. And this is where things in our marriage start to get a little bit tricky. I'm a big fan of walnuts in my cookies.
No.
We just finished the last of our chocolate chip cookies from the freezer.
Yep.
From a batch that had no walnuts.
So now it's Rob's turn to have walnuts in the chocolate chip cookies.
And so what we're going to do now...
It's the only way to make it fair is to switch off.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to fight to put in as many walnuts as possible.
Or I could just forget to buy the walnuts.
Just forget to buy the walnuts? She normally forgets to buy the walnuts. But I begged her. So we have some walnuts. These are actually in really big chunks. I think I might let you take out some of your frustration on the walnut. Basically on our way now to walnut peanut butter, or walnut butter as it would be called. So it's better. Quick, while she's got her back turned.
I don't want.
You want a walnut? So good.
Hey.
Now we find out if this machine can handle it.
That's too many walnuts. Take them out.
Perfect amount. Probably use a good 2 cups, maybe a little more. I like my cookies to be just enough cookie dough to hold them together. You don't want to mix it too much once the flour's in because they'll get tough because of the gluten. As you can see, there's no reason to scrape the bowl down during the process because there's nothing left on the bowl. I mean, it's pulled it all in. So this looks super good. It smells really, really delicious. So yeah, we're going to scoop all of this with the tiny scoop that we have. It's not that small. It's probably 2 tablespoons. It's not a super big cookie. And we freeze them in Ziploc bags in a single layer. And then instead of just making, 4 dozen cookies or something in the oven all at once, we freeze the cookie dough scooped. And so when we want a fresh cookie, we don't have to make all the dough. We just pop a couple of cookies in the toaster oven. When we cook these, we cook them right from frozen. We cook them in the toaster oven at 325 for 16 minutes. Mm-hmm. We find no matter what kind of cookie we make, once we freeze it, if it's a molasses cookie, a peanut butter cookie, chocolate chip cookie, our oatmeal cookies, everything, 325 for 16 minutes. The slightly lower temperature helps because they start from frozen to make sure the centers are cooked. And they spread really well. They come out really, really delicious. Mm-hmm. So we'll do a quick test batch while we scoop. So this is the scoop we use. I got it at our local kitchen supply. It's got a number 40 on it. That's the size of scoop that it is. It's got something to do with number of scoops in a quart or something. I'm not really sure. So all we do is scoop. cook these, and in the meantime, we're gonna scoop up the Dickens. 18 cookies. I'm gonna pop this in the fridge. These will break off perfectly when you go to cook them later on. Works out really well. I know I said the fridge. I put them in the freezer. Well, there we go. The cookies are made. As you can see, they look really good. Plenty of walnuts. Since I cooked these cookies from room temperature, I cooked them at 350, and we did them for about 12 or 13 minutes. So that's the time that you would use if you were gonna cook them fresh. If you're gonna do them from the freezer though, 325, 16 minutes, you should be in great shape. Mm-hmm. That looks like a great cookie. What do we see inside here? Oh, looks really good. Mm-hmm. Thanks for getting the milk.
Mm-hmm. You can't have chocolate cookies without milk.
Not too sweet. I love the crunch you get from the walnuts. Do you taste the whole wheat?
Oh, no, I never do.
Yeah, the cookies, it works out really well.
I always think I'm going to, but you don't. I just taste the chocolate.
That's how we make our batch of magical weight loss cookies.
And we did it in...
Certainly under an hour,
It does
yeah.
not take long.
No. Yeah,
just
so we
make
did
cookies.
5 packages of 18.
I think 5.
So we got a huge number of cookies. That'll keep us in cookies now, probably for the whole summer. Mm-hmm. It's the very beginning of May now. We probably won't need to make chocolate chip cookies again until September. We might sneak a few other cookie types into the fridge, into the freezer. I think you just said you like these. Can I get you another?
Yes. I won't say no.
So, thanks for joining us. That's how we always make sure we have fresh, delicious cookies available. If you ever pop by the house, don't forget to ask. We always have some. Mm-hmm. So thanks for joining. We'll see you guys next week.